Hello and welcome into the Skraby Show for February 3rd, 2026. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. We have a lot to talk about, but I am really fascinated about this Pro Bowl that's going on right now. We'll get into it in just a second. If you would like to watch the show, you can. You can go to YouTube, search at the Skraby Show, Skraby as in boy Y. Also, you can go to 97.3 The Fan. You can go to Facebook, 97.3 The Fan. You can go to Twitter, 97.3 The Fan SD. You can go to my Twitter, at Matt Skraby. Lots of places you can watch it. And go to the Odyssey app, search for 97.3 The Fan, and you can listen on the Odyssey app as well. This Pro Bowl, I don't really count it as a Pro Bowl. I know we were giving it a lot of, giving it a hard time on the show, but it is fun when these guys start to actually compete. Like, even though that it's just a flag football game, these guys start to get really serious about this, and you forget these guys are the best of the best of the best of the best in the world at football. So they get a little competition going, and they're not going to give up. But Shador Sanders just threw a touchdown pass and converted the 2-point conversion. So I don't really even know the rules, to be honest. It seems like they have some strange rules, but like on TV, it says second and mid. And maybe those are the rules for the flag football league that the NFL is starting. So maybe I need to brush up on my rules on flag football. But it is fun to see some of these guys just having the time of their lives, even though it's some fake flag football game. Right now, it's first and mid. I got to look that up. All right, we're going to talk about a few things tonight that are related to the Padres. Andrew McCutchen and the Pirates are not happy with each other. And I think this is an opening for the Padres. So we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about, I was thinking about this on my dog walk this morning, but I was thinking about what can I talk about that I haven't yet that people may be interested in. And I think we need to talk about Craig Stammen, the manager. How is he going to handle certain things throughout the year? Because mostly he has been a player throughout his career. And then the last couple of years, he's transitioned into like a front office role. But how is he going to handle the day-to-dayness of Major League Baseball? It's going to be a lot different for him. And he's never been through that. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And then at the end of the show, we'll see what we can get into. But there is a couple things. People are very mad about the NFL becoming the league of the world. Yeah, I don't know if I want to tease anything because I might not get there. But basically, there's a very good point in there about the NFL. It's the National Football League, not the International Football League. So maybe we'll talk about that at the end of the show. But we've been talking about Andrew McCutchen. Andrew McCutchen doing, we've been talking about him in regards to whether or not the Padres would be interested in bringing him in. But there's an Athletic article that was put out today. And the title is "Things Are Awkward Between Andrew McCutchen and the Pirates, but Conflict Might Have Been Unavoidable." So Andrew McCutchen has been a part of the Pirates for a long time. I mean, he's gone to some other places, but he is a Pittsburgh Pirate. And I think that the Pirates are treating him, they're not treating him well. And I hate when I see teams do this to players. It seems like sometimes this happens. I don't know why. There's no real recipe for it other than seems like the Pirates are trying to move on and go younger instead of Andrew McCutchen being a part of the team. But the Pirates screwed up, and people in the organization told The Athletic that they did not handle this correctly, and they should have been a little bit more direct with Andrew McCutchen. Quote, informing him last season or even last offseason that 2025 would be his final year with the club, he probably would not have reacted well. But his recent social media posts are proving that he's pretty angry about this, and I don't blame him. He said on X in response to a Pittsburgh media personality who posted that the Pirates have to look at different, better ways to win, even if it moves on from Andrew McCutchen. Well, Andrew McCutchen said, quote, "There's more work to do and I'm not done. No matter what label you try to stamp on me, rip the jersey off me, you don't get to write my future. God does." Which, I understand why he reacted that way. Now, the Pittsburgh media personality was just doing sports talk radio, I'm sure. But it doesn't sound like a good situation. Here's another situation that I think did not make Andrew McCutchen feel good about his standing with the Pirates. But Pirates didn't invite him to their fan fest that was in early January. And now they don't necessarily have to invite him because he wasn't on the roster. But if you're any sort of organization, if you're any sort of good organization, you will not treat your former players like this. Not even a former player, a guy who played on your team last year, a guy who basically made the Pirates here for the last 10, 15 years. I mean, he got them to prominence and he helped to get them to prominence. There's other guys, obviously, but I remember them playing a playing game with the Giants back in the day in the playoffs, a one-game play-in. So what I think the Padres can do in this situation is there is something to me about a motivated player at the end of their career that I like. Now, I when I think about Andrew McCutchen, he's 37 years old. He's been in the league for a long time. He says he's not done. But what I think about is this going to be, and we've said this before on the show, would an Andrew McCutchen signing be somewhat similar to a Matt Carpenter, to a Jason Hayward, to a Yuli Gurriel, to Nelson Cruz? Is it one of those guys? I don't think so. I don't think that Andrew McCutchen seems to me like that sort of guy. He doesn't seem like he is too far away from his great playing days. I mean, last year, when we're talking about Andrew McCutchen too, we're not talking about numbers that are just insane. We're talking about a guy who is a great baseball player, great baseball mind, good teammate, and he would mesh well with this clubhouse. But last year, he had 135 games, so he's playing most of them. Hit 239, 700 OPS. He had 13 home runs, 57 RBIs. He's not much of a base stealer anymore at this point in his career. But what he can do is he can get on base for you, and that's all you really need. Now, do we think that because he's pretty much going to be a DH? He's pretty much going. I don't see him playing defensively at this point in his career. At the 17-year mark, this will be his 18th year coming up. But I hesitate to say let's do this right now because of the age and because of certain things that we've seen in San Diego here the last few years with some of the guys that have been given a go, but they just don't have it anymore. Johnny says bringing in guys for what they did, not what they do now. You don't do that. You have to bring them in for what they're doing now. So is this good enough for everyone? Is a 239 batting average good enough? 700 OPS good enough? His projections for 2026, 235 batting average, 713 OPS, 15 homers, 52 RBIs. I think I would take that. I think that I would take that 1,000%. Because obviously they don't have anyone right now in the DH spot. But if there's a guy out there that's motivated to make his former team pay, it's going to be Andrew McCutchen because the Pirates have not handled this very well. Trevor says he's a clubhouse guy. Yes, I don't necessarily like the whole clubhouse guy thing, like bringing in a guy just for the clubhouse, because I think we've done that. But if he can still hit you those 15 home runs, driving 55 to 60 guys, and get on base enough, not all the time, get on base enough I think that he would fit with this team for what they're looking for right now. I don't know that they're. I don't know that they're going to be going in this direction. I think maybe they're a little bit scared off too of some of the past signings of older guys, but also the price has to be right. The price has to. It can't be any sort of expensive contract. No one's going to give Andrew McCutchen that, so it's got to be like $5 million or less. And we didn't even talk about this, but Luis Ariz, he got a contract for $12 million from the Giants, and good for Luis. I'm happy for him to get that contract, but that was way too much for the Padres. They paid him $14 million last year, and all we talked about for most of the year was, hey, he's not living up to that $14 million. But the Giants ended up paying him $12 million, so I'm happy that he got his money. But I'm also not sad that the Padres went in another direction for that price. And so Luis Ariz, I really, 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 really hope he does not haunt us all season long. We'll see. We'll see. But I understand why the Padres didn't bring him back. I do. The price was just too much. And we played that clip yesterday about how some guys, certain stats are good for them. And then those same stats for other guys are looked at in a completely different way. For some reason, people don't like the way Luis Ariz plays baseball. And for whatever reason, that puts him in the category of he's not that great of a baseball player, even though he's won 3 batting titles in the last 4 seasons. And then I hear it now. I hear it now. Who cares about a batting title? Did it help them win? Yeah, a batting title does help your team win. Zen says because he really wanted to play second base and he is not a second baseman. He did really want to play second base, but I remember him playing a lot of first base last year. And the Giants also were like, hey, we have no second baseman. So you being out there, Luis, is much better than us not throwing anyone out there. But yeah, he's going to play second base for the Giants, which is not necessarily a great position for him. So we'll see what happens with Luis Ariz. But I wanted to bring up that he got $12 million because I think that makes everyone sleep a little bit better at night, knowing that they didn't lose out on Luis Ariz, if he signed a contract for like $3 million or something like that. But I do think Andrew McCutchen, keep an eye on him. Every time I name someone to say keep an eye on, I end up being completely wrong about it. So with me saying this, Andrew McCutchen will not be on the team. All right, this is the Skraby Show. Matt Skraby, 97.3 The Fan. When we get back, let's talk about Craig Stammen a little bit more. Let's talk about what he's going to face this year and whether or not we think he can adjust. All of that is next on the Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan.
The wait is
Matt Skraby back with you here in the Bill Howe Studios. We know how. We're going to talk about Craig Stammen here in just a second, but there were some good banter going on the YouTube chat. And the one I wanted to get to was, where did it go? My goodness, I just had it. Why did I do this? Oh, there it is. Cole says Ozuna talk revved up. That is true. We are hearing rumors that Marcell Ozuna is drawing interest from the San Diego Padres, from Mike Rodriguez on Twitter. Also, apparently, Pittsburgh Pirates are pursuing the three-time All-Star. Now, he's going to be 35, so he's probably going to be a one-year deal with maybe an option for a second year. I don't see a team signing him to multiple years at the age of 35. But, there is baggage with this. As we all know, there was the legal trouble that he had years ago. And so I would have to think, if the Padres are thinking about bringing him in, they have talked to him about this, or they have talked internally about this and about the past. Do they want to bring in someone like this to the organization with that past? And I don't know the answer to that. I'm going to let them make that decision. Personally, I don't know that Ozuna, they're saying like he might get anywhere between 1 year, $10 million to $16 million, which is very interesting, that 16 number, because that's apparently what they're going to save from Yu Darvish's contract when it's all said and done. But last year, Ozuna had a terrible year. So did the entire Atlanta Brave team. They were not great last year. I mean, the guy plays a ton of games. In the last 3 seasons, he's played at least 144 games. And 2 years ago, he hit 302, 925 OPS, 39 homers, 104 RBIs. The year before, 40 home runs, 100 RBIs, hit 274, 905 OPS. So we know he's got power. We know that he could hit home runs. Last year, he hit 21 home runs. He hit 232, though. I do think that will come back up. I'm not sure that a Marcell Ozuna at 35 is worth $16 million, but that is why AJ Preller is paid better than I am, because he understands that stuff. Now, if they do sign Marcell Ozuna, I would have to think that this has been discussed with the rest of the team, or at least the leaders of the team. I would have to think so, because you don't want to interject a personality into the clubhouse and not really know how it's going to mesh. And I would say that the Padres have been pretty good in the last 3-4 years about who they're letting in the clubhouse, who is being brought into this team. They're looking for a really specific type of guy. And if Marcell Ozuna, it wows them enough, you are going to get an actual DH. Now, how well will he hit this year? I don't know. But you will get an actual DH. You will. You're going to get a guy who hits for power, strikes out a lot, but he can rip home runs like crazy. And I think, I don't know about everybody else out there, if you put the baggage aside, I think this is the type of player that we have all been waiting for at the DH for a long time. A guy who is a home run threat every time he comes to the plate. And if he can get back to any sort of those numbers that he had a couple years ago, I would gladly take that. Here are his projections according to Baseball Reference. 262 batting average, 826 OPS, 27 home runs, 77 RBIs. I would take that. But the big question, and I just see Clay chatting it, big question. Wow, we used the same phrase, Clay. Would he be a fit within this clubhouse? Time will tell on that. But we're not close enough to a Marcell Ozuna signing to seriously get into that just yet. But if we do get closer, we will talk about it. Trevor has a very good question. How many home runs has Marcell Ozuna hit at Petco Park? He's not played that many games here. He's played a decent amount, 32 games. He's hit 7 home runs, 266 or average, 846 OPS. So he can hit home runs at Petco Park. There you go. I think I'm starting to talk myself into a home run hitting DH for cheap. All right. Craig Stammen, the new manager of San Diego Padres. We've talked a lot about him, obviously, leading up to the season. We're going to talk a lot about him through the season. But I was thinking about him and not his baseball knowledge and not how he's, actually going to manage each game day by day. I was thinking more about the bigger scope of the job because, you know, Craig Stammen was a player with some of these guys. And Craig Stammen is, friends with these guys. So the first thing I really thought about was, can Craig Stammen have tough conversations with guys that he is close with? That's going to be a big thing. He's going to have to deliver truths that people don't want to hear. He's going to have to make tough decisions that people don't agree with. But can he have those tough conversations? Can he not be looked at as a friend? Now, it's a little strange to me because he isn't that far removed from his playing career. So it's not like these players are a lot younger than him and they kind of look up to him to they look up to him as he's not old enough to be like a elder statesman. He's just old enough to be like on the upper echelon of friends. But I think this is going to be more difficult than people think, because think about your work. You've worked with someone maybe for a few years and you're on the same level as them. You're your coworker. It would be like me and Paul, producers. We're the same level. And one day that person gets promoted to be your boss. Now, Paul and I haven't actually like worked together, so this might not be the best example. I would say Chris. If Chris got promoted to be my boss, it's going to be a different dynamic. It's going to be a different dynamic. Like, it's going to be a little bit strange, I think. And these are some of the things that I think we're not really thinking about. Is Craig Stammen going to be able to control that room? And is Craig Stammen going to be able to be a guy who is able to stand up and say, no, I'm the manager and you do it because I said so? I'm not sure that he's that guy, and I'm pretty sure that's not how he's going to manage. But those are interesting. Those are different factors to things that we don't really think about. It wouldn't be easy for me to all of a sudden have Chris scheduling me and things like that and asking these questions. It wouldn't be easy. It would be weird. So I feel like that's sort of a similarity. I know we're not playing Major League Baseball, but workplaces are workplaces and they all kind of have the same dynamic. But Craig Sam is going to have to figure out how he can be the manager and not the friend. Also, can he deal with the grind of the media each and every day? I think Mike Schilt taught us last year that it's not easy, and it wore Mike Schilt down to the point where he left the team. And again, I know he has another job, but we don't know if he's even like coaching on a day-to-day basis or if he's watching film or whatever. But can he deal with that grind? Now, I think Craig Stammen's going to be great with the media. He is a personable guy. I think that he is going to, be a pleasant interview for media members. But what happens when they get to game 112? They've lost 5 in a row and they need to win to keep pace with the rest of baseball. What happens then? Is it going to get to him a little bit? I'm not sure. We're all going to have to figure out together. We're all going to have to figure out together. Thank you, Trevor. Chris could never be a boss, too unorganized. That's actually not true to an extent. He's very organized, but for some reason, the show, he's not organized. Anyway, can he handle Craig Stammen being the one blamed for everything? How much did we blame Mike Schilt last year for decisions? A lot. He's the manager. He's the one ultimately who has to answer for things that he decides. Can Craig Stammen handle all of the different personalities? This one, I'm actually really sure that he can. He's been in a baseball clubhouse his entire adult life. He's had many different teammates. I have no issues with him being able to handle all the different players and the different, what's the word? Emotions of all the players. And last thing I really was thinking about, can he handle all of the things that a manager has to handle? It's not just making a lineup. It's not just talking to the media. It's also meeting with the front office about business related things. It's also meeting with certain people to get a schedule of certain things. Being a manager is not easy and is very time consuming. So this is why I have all these these questions about Craig Stammen, because he's never been a manager before. And, we talked about it yesterday with some of the new managers being first-time managers. We're transitioning into a different type of manager. So maybe this is just the Padres getting ahead of a trend that's about to happen. But I think gone are the days are like guys like Lou Piniella. Gone are the days are Earl Weaver. Gone are the days of I'm blanking on Bobby Cox. Gone are those days. Now you need a more collaborative manager. You need someone who's able to handle the personalities. You need someone who is going to be able to deliver a message. And you need someone that's going to keep the team together when things get tough. And I know I'm pretty positive that he can do that. Eric says, but can he act like Brad Pitt in Moneyball? I don't know. I don't think anybody could act like Brad Pitt in Moneyball. That was a pretty darn good performance right there. And Trevor makes a really, really good point about Craig Stammen. I think Craig can handle it. Anyone who gave up back-to-back home runs has got some intestinal fortitude. I agree with that, Trevor. Definitely has some intestinal fortitude. I remember that day. That was tough. That was tough to see. Those were bleak San Diego Padres days. Those were very, very, very bleak Padres days. All right, you're listening to the Skraby Show. I'm Matt Skraby. This is 97.3 The Fan. All guests on 97.3 The Fan join us on the David P. Shapiro Fan Hotline. David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys, helping good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. When we get back, we'll briefly talk about SDFC. And we'll talk about this growing notion from the national media about the Padres. So stick around. One more segment left on the Skraby Show.
Quinn and Chris on the
Man, Joe Burrow is killing it in the Pro Bowl right now. He's 12 for 14, 134 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Dak Prescott, on the other hand, is 5 for 6 with 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. Very nice performances. It's a 44-6 game right now at halftime with AFC leading 44-36. I'm being a little facetious if you can't really tell. Matt Skraby, final segment here on the Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan. One thing I wanted to mention real quick before we get into this Aroldis Chapman thing I just came across. But one of the signings that I think went a little under the radar, and one of these signings that I think the Padres could have used, would be Eugenio Suarez. Now, he went to the Reds, and this is a guy who had over 40 home runs last year, a guy who strikes out quite a bit. I'm not sure if he wanted to play a lot of defense, but he's going to be making $15 million this year. I think that would have been a much better $15 million spent than Marcell Ozuna. I mean, Eugenio Suarez is a true home run threat. Now, is he someone who strikes out a ton? Yes, but most power hitters are. A lot of guys strike out a ton. Are we going to be happy with the 228 batting average? We're going to have to be, because he hit 49 home runs, drove in 118 RBIs. That's a sneaky good signing for the Reds, because they're going to get a guy in a ballpark that's going to hit a ton of home runs. Cincinnati is just a place to go if you're someone who wants to hit a ton of home runs. So it was only like I think Trevor's saying how. Oh, sorry, I was reading the wrong thing. But Eugenio Suarez, there's like an option for next year, so maybe he will be a Padre one day. I'm not quite sure, but that's a sneaky signing under the radar for sure. Now, here's what I saw about Aroldis Chapman, the World Baseball Classic. From Talkin' Baseball, Aroldis Chapman was not approved to pitch for Great Britain in the World Baseball Classic because his lineage-based documentation did not prove eligibility. Chapman received an offer from the team in June and planned to accept it. But my favorite part is the graphic that they put, and it just says, it's a picture of Aroldis Chapman, and it just says not British on the bottom. I mean, I guess I could have told you that. I mean, I wonder if he's played for Great Britain in the past, but it seems weird to me. All right, this is the Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan. We are going to talk about a sad story here in just a second, but I want to talk about this whole narrative that's being put out by national media about the Padres. And the narrative is this: if they don't win this year, it's over. And so every article that I see, it seems to be that's the sentiment about the Padres. Like for this one, it's all on the line for these 6 teams in 2026, and they give you one from each division. And the NL West is the Padres. And it's saying the Padres should be commended for their ambition in pursuing the rivals to the north, but now their once strong farm system has mostly been decimated by trades to fortify the big league roster, which, alas, still doesn't look nearly as good as that of the Dodgers. That's another thing that really bothers me. What other team in baseball looks like the Dodgers? Can we stop that, please? No one is going to be able to match the Dodgers. Bringing back Michael King is a sign the Padres aren't giving up, but if they don't catch the Dodgers soon, San Diego might be out of the race for a while. I can understand why someone takes this stance, but do they realize that AJ Preller has restocked the farm system many a times? Do they realize that AJ Preller is able to deal in prospects all the time? Prospect capital? Prospects are like money. AJ Preller I've never been worried about that part. And here's a daily gripe. I think the right side of my headphones just went out, so I'm not hearing myself on the right side. It's very strange. But anyway, that's the narrative that major league, national writers are taking. And I don't necessarily buy that they're going to be done for a long time if they don't win it this year. I don't think that whatsoever. It's kind of annoying, actually. The other thing I wanted to bring up was the Major League Baseball put out the top right fielders, top 10 right fielders. And I am offended by this list because obviously there's a right fielder here in town that's very good, named Fernando Tatis Jr. But here is how they ranked the right fielders. And I guess the first two I'm just going to have to say, okay, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, 1 and 2. Here's where I don't get it. Number 3 is Kyle Tucker. I know he was the biggest free agent since free agency started, it seemed like. But he had a pretty bad year last year. He did not have a strong year last year. And to me, Kyle Tucker's put up nice seasons, but I don't know that he's proven to me he's the third best right fielder in baseball. Clay has it right. You mean our double platinum glove winning right fielder? Yeah, that guy. So Kyle Tucker's number 3. Corbin Carroll is number 4, which I asked the guys last week. It's Corbin Carroll. Should he be ranked higher than Fernando? They agreed. And then number 5 surprises me as well. Ronald Acuna Jr. Don't get me wrong. Ronald Acuna Jr. is a very, very good player. He won me my first fantasy baseball championship when he had that crazy big season like 3 years ago. But Ronald Acuna Jr. is coming off major injuries. He's had 2 big ACL injuries in the past 5 years. It's been stop and start for him. But I get he's a great player, but the injuries make me think that he's not a top 5 right fielder in baseball. I will draft him in fantasy baseball if it comes around. But I can't say that Ronald Acuna Jr. is the 5th best right fielder in baseball at the current present time. Now, here you go. 6, Fernando Tatis Jr. He's number 6. I don't really think that's true. If anything, Kyle Tucker needs to be moved to 6. Fernando moved to 3, or Ronald Acuna Jr. or Corbin Carroll moved up to 3. Everybody moves up. Kyle Tucker goes behind Fernando Tatis Jr. That's where I think this goes. Then 7, Seiya Suzuki. 8, George Springer. 9, Mike Trout, which are they paying attention to how many games these guys play? Because Mike Trout doesn't play a lot of games. And then Wilyer Abreu, who I know is pretty good. I think he won a Gold Glove a couple years ago, or maybe even last year. They keep putting these things out, and I don't ever get to see the show, but I do love getting the push notifications so I can go check and see how many Padres are not in the top 10. But I'm looking through top 10 second baseman not through. They haven't done the other ones yet, but there's no third baseman yet, so we don't know if Manny Machado is going to be on the list. But center fielders, Jackson Merrill in there. Yep, Jackson Merrill's number 4 for center fielders. Julio Rodriguez, Wyatt Langford, Byron Buxton, Jackson Merrill. Again, Byron Buxton is constantly injured. Sometimes I hate these lists. Sometimes I do. All right. What was the other thing? Oh, SDFC. That's what I wanted to talk about. SDFC is back tonight. And I have to say, I did not expect for the season to come around so quickly. It did, but they had a really good season last year, so I'm hoping they can keep rolling with it, and they can keep, building that momentum in San Diego, because last year was very exciting. I think a lot of people did not expect that to happen, but I hope they continue with it. Now they're playing Pumas UNAM tonight, 8 p.m. Snapdragon, to start the CONCACAF Champions Cup. So they play a game this week, and then they go to Mexico City next week, and they play a game. But they qualified for the CONCACAF Champions Cup because they won the Western Conference last year. So that is why they are in that, and they are playing. But the MLS season starts, very soon as well. Side note, San Diego is going to be hosting Olympic soccer matches in 2028. They announced that Snapdragon Stadium is going to be among the host sites for group stage and knockout matches. So there's going to be Olympics here in town. And as if you listened to the show earlier, you heard Chris talking about it, how he's not that excited about it or anything like that. I think this is good for. I definitely think this is good for San Diego. You're getting the Olympics. I don't know how much, maybe people don't think the Olympics are that big of a deal anymore, but they are around the world. And I don't know how much bigger you can get than a world competition coming to your town. Now, it's going to be all over the place as well. It's going to be in St. Louis. It's going to be in New York City, Nashville, I believe. But still, San Diego was chosen, and Snapdragon Stadium is carrying a little bit of weight there. So I like that. And I'm already trying to weasel my way into it. Couple more stories before we go. This one is sad, and I'm going to take my smile off because it's not a good story. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because it's proved to me that people struggle. But Patrick Mahomes Sr., Patrick Mahomes' father, was arrested yesterday. I guess he was busted for a violation of his probation for his DWI sentence after allegedly drinking alcohol. He was booked into the Smith County Jail at 8:53 a.m. And here's what they're saying happened. The document states that he had a high alcohol reading on his Scram alcohol ankle monitor on January 1st. So you got to think that there was some sort of New Year's thing happening. But he wasn't, I'm seeing questions. He wasn't arrested for DUI again. No. He was arrested because his ankle monitor that goes on your ankle, and back in the day, I didn't actually have to do this, but there was an option for me to do this. I'm just being fully honest because I don't drink anymore. But the ankle monitor detects whether or not you have any sort of alcohol in your body because you sweat, or it somehow reads your skin, your sweat, and everything like that, and it tells you that someone has drank alcohol. Now, if you are not supposed to drink alcohol and it detects alcohol, that's a big problem. It's a big problem. But I think what I wanted to say about this was that this is proof to me. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter who your son is. It doesn't matter how much money you have. Everyone is able to get caught up in this. And I feel bad for the guy because, after 4 or 3 DUIs, more maybe, I think that it's very sad to see someone continuing to struggle with alcohol. So that's all I really want to say is be nice to people. Like when you see Patrick Mahomes' dad is arrested for alcohol, don't laugh. Just realize it's a very, very serious situation, and I hope he gets it together. I do. I don't like seeing people struggle because I know how much pain that involves with people around you. So let's hope that Patrick Mahomes Sr. gets a little bit of help.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
All right, I know I'm going from a serious topic into a fun topic, but I can't believe they're actually playing 15-minute quarters in this Pro Bowl. I can't. That is a ton of time to play. That is a ton of time to play. I mean, there are 10 minutes and 42 seconds left in the third quarter, and AFC's up 52-36. Okay, here's my daily gripe. And I'm not specifically calling people out, but I am sort of calling people out. It's when people tell me, hey, we really want you to talk about this. We really want to hear your opinion on this. And it's for Gwen and Chris or Skraby Show or whatever. But then when we talk about it, it's not good enough. Like, we did what you wanted. And all of a sudden, it's not good enough. And I'm not, like, specifically calling out a situation, but this happens often. I get messages like, I thought you guys were going to talk about that a little bit more. Like, what? We talked about it. So please don't ask us to talk about something, and then when we do talk about something, say that we didn't have a good enough segment about it. I mean, that's maybe 0.1% of the listening audience, but still. I tend to focus on the 0.1 when I should be focused on the 99.9%. All right. That's it for the Skraby Show. We'll be back tomorrow, 2 o'clock, and then Skraby Show at 6 o'clock. Have a great night, everybody. Touchdown, Puka Nakua. I'll leave you with that.